Number one, lower your expectation. This is one of the most of the major keys, I would say, because our expectations from sobriety might be one thing, but totally something else could be happening to us. And then when you try to compare yourself to others, because you heard the stories about someone, maybe you've been influenced by someone in perspective that you would like to start doing your sobriety because you recognize you have a problem with alcohol, that you have very bad, relationship going on. And now when you start doing your sobriety completely looks different. Let's say it will be that you're not getting time wise into the places when other people are, because we like to compare ourselves to others. It's just for the reference and a check, because we're thinking if we are on average somewhere, as the group is, or certain individual, then that's supposed to be like check for us that everything goes okay and we are going in the right direction. But unfortunately, the sobriety, it's pretty much individual way. Okay, I know you start with others. I know if you're doing some therapies or AA groups and places like that, some people are showing you what to do. They're showing you some tools, skills, you getting learning things, and you actually expecting certain results. And when them results are not happening, you're getting frustrated. You got, maybe probably you might have some anxieties because of this. You start, you know doing doubt, and all these emotions, the negative emotions, are start kicking to it, and then you being kind of a discouraged towards whatever you've been trying to achieve it. The trouble is, there is no such thing like kind of a copy and paste. I've been saying that for a very, 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 very long time, and I will say it again. Just because someone get to the certain point in a certain time, it doesn't mean that you're gonna be there as well, because your circumstances will be different. For instance, the history of using and being with alcohol is different. Maybe your background when you start using alcohol is totally different than others. So that's why, if you look from perspective of time and what you're doing, as long as you're getting a progress and you're getting closer and you're staying away from, getting closer to the sobriety, so that sobriety becomes stronger in within you, and you keeping yourself away from the alcohol, that's the majority way, and that's the majority path and the route which is going in the right way. So that's the one of the things. Lower your expectations. If you will achieve more than you expected, that's even extra push for you. Because if you're gonna set up the bar very high, you're gonna be in a place which gonna be start kicking some kind of a wrong way of thinking. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe it's not how it's supposed to be. You don't want that. So the lower expectations give you kind of a more happiness from whatever you go into, and that will give you that extra boost, that boost you're looking for. So then slowly, generally, you're gonna be going, going, and going, and you're climbing that mountain of sobriety, and you're getting higher and higher. It gives you more confidence, and eventually you will understand that everyone is different, and it's fine. It's nothing wrong with that. We all might start the same, but we might finish in a different time scale, in a different, distance, because someone will be doing something and they struggling with something, but you can be overcoming something very quickly. Then on the other hand, there will be different situation when you're gonna have a problems with, but others will be going pretty much clean and smooth through it. Or maybe they're gonna have something like they never experienced all these struggles you did. But that's okay. That's a natural common thing with sobriety. That's why we don't compare with ourselves with others, and that's why no expectation is better. It's pretty much like all that saying goes, no news is a good news. So you just keep doing what you're doing and you carry on with your job. That's why you're gonna have them little steps, even if they are half steps, you know, in let's say according to others, when they're doing one large step, you're doing two or three steps just to get to the point where they are. It doesn't really matter. You're still achieving what you're supposed to, meaning you're being away from alcohol. Number two is living in fear. That's one of the things, unfortunately, and I see that is very common. I know there are people try to do specifically on sobriety, they're doing like one day at a time. But I can see as well that unfortunately there is something going like these people are living in fear because you just try to survive to the end of the day and you kind of go into sleep in a fear, oh my lord, what's going to be happening tomorrow? I don't know. So sometimes they like to say that today I'm not drinking. All I know that I don't drink today. What's tomorrow? I don't really worry about. In perspective, that I don't care, or I'm just concentrating on today. But there is unfortunately many people which they concentrating on today, and when any situations happen, around them, specifically if there is some kind of alcohol triggers and stuff, they might be living, you know, with the kind of a backstory in their head, and oh, that was so close. I nearly relapsed and stuff, and then they get in somehow in a perspective of let's just just that day just finish. Let's just they go to the end, so I go to sleep, so at least I'm gonna be safe for a while. And on the next day, they kind of waking up again with some kind of a fear of, well, I did not fail yesterday, but what if I will fail today? I would like to see something else, and this is something which pretty much works for me. I don't I don't go by I will not drink, you know, today with you in kind of a slogan perspective, some message. I don't drink at all, and that's on the set. That's how I would like to set up myself. That I don't drink at all. I'm not gonna be going towards thinking of I don't drink today and that's all I know, but what's gonna happen tomorrow, I don't know. No, I know exactly what's gonna happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm not drinking as well. Because you will be, some people at least, are kind of failing at some point because they concentrating the setup, their head on this day only, as in today, but tomorrow I don't know what's gonna happen. It's still kind of a like feeding yourself with maybe a slight permission. Well, I did good today, but I might fail tomorrow. It could be like this, especially for people which they just started the sobriety and they fresh to it, so they learning the ways. They start to understand themselves slowly but slowly, but that's how it goes. And there is a plenty of there's a plenty of things you do in life, and they can push you in the wrong way, specifically when you're playing with fear. So I don't drink today, but maybe I might drink tomorrow. I don't think about that. Maybe next day will show up. Then I set up myself for the next day. So I think this is like a short circuit. This is the short fuse. I rather go in a perspective. I don't drink at all, and it's okay, and it's fine. This is my decision. That's what I want to do. I went to the places when I was drinking and I wasn't happy initially, because that's the main reason why we stopped drinking. People are not happy with themselves. People see like they getting wasted. I'm not even talking about money, health issues, and any other problems which they might occur on the way because of the consumption of alcohol. But I would say we're kind of trying to living between 24 hours and 24 hours. There is no kind of a certain path of that, because we as a human being, we like something which is like regularity. Okay, anything which comes odd automatically likes to shake our life in the wrong way. We don't like surprises, especially if they are the bad ones. So we would like to go towards known rather than unknown. And if I will be setting up my life in kind of a way that Well, all I'm worried is today, right now, my 24 hours, and then whatever happens tomorrow, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. No, you do know. Tomorrow, I don't drink again, but I'm not actually thinking about that I'm not gonna be drinking because that's supposed to be like a second skin. And that could be another way of you failing because you kind of, somewhere in the back of your head, you're printing that you have some kind of a short run or something like that. But in a sobriety, we actually trying to create the long run because initially I would like to stay as I am to the rest of my life, right? So I'm not gonna be breaking down something or trying to create a situation that I'm just living with my 24 hours run. So that would be something like trying to figure out only if you imagine you going for Saturdays for shopping and instead of buy yourself food for a few days, you're buying only for the one day and you have just enough that money to pay for that, 24, 24 hours food. And well, what's gonna happen tomorrow? I'm gonna worry tomorrow, but today so far we know that we're eating just only for today. That's kind of a very very difficult position to be with, and with the sobriety it's better if we will go towards like long run, decisive, firm, strong, rather than kind of a wiki meeky 24 hours. I know that some people will say that, yeah, but this is how I survived for so long, but this survival is pretty much fragile, I would say, because this is like little given to, in the back of your head that, well, so far I did 24 hours, but maybe tomorrow I will fail. We try to keep away that justification, to justify less and less the alcohol to justify sobriety, why my sobriety is there. Number three is going to be tags and labels, right? Because one of the things I never understood, and I will still, be against it, is going and talking about the addiction towards the alcohol, that's supposed to create you who you are. What I'm saying is, when I stop drinking and I'm becoming sober, I'm not gonna be walking around and thinking about myself as an alcoholic from perspective that that's supposed to be some kind of a, you know, redemption in perspective. Now I have to beat myself all over my life to the rest of my life because I've been drinking before. Now I'm not drinking. I don't think that's a good idea. That's another one who takes you back to drinking later because it gets to, okay, I've been drinking. Now I don't drink. So why I cannot be cleansed up right now? It's like pretty much like, let's say, like Christians, right? They make some sins and they go into, to do the confession. They finish everything, everything gets cleaned up. And now you have, the fresh path. You can start again from that perspective. And it's okay. No one's going to be chasing you because, you paid your dues. The same as here. You stop drinking, you're not drinking anymore. And going around and claiming, I am alcoholic, I am, it's just like I'm sober alcoholic and this and that and that and that. I know that people will say like, yeah, but well, once you're alcoholic, you're always alcoholic. These are just only names, tags, labels. When you speak to people about this, were you supposed to feel guilty? You're supposed to feel down? Were you right now like second class citizen or something? Taking in consideration that some people having some kind of a stress and anxiety and stuff like that, that can take you back to drinking because you will see. So I was on the wrong side of doing something, which was drinking. Now I'm on the right side of doing something, and I still being punished for what I was doing in the past because no one wants to look on me what I'm doing well, but everyone is just like sitting, eating popcorn in the chairs and waiting. So when you gonna fight? He was drinking. So yeah, no, 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 no. He's gonna be drinking again. It's just in the matter of time. No, it's not. And there's many people which they stop drinking and they don't touch the alcohol to the rest of their lives. In terms of natural lives, they're not touching anything. Okay, so I think if you set up yourself like this, you'll be in trouble. I'm sorry, but you're gonna be in trouble because this kind of a tag or a label will be nothing else but just kind of a way to justify if you failed, that's okay because everyone around me was telling me that I'm an alcoholic, or everyone like that is calling themselves alcoholic. I think that's very stressful, right? It's very stressful. If you see on someone who's been smoking cigarettes and then he stopped smoking cigarettes, we don't call them, you know, former cigarette smoker or something like that. You don't do that. It's like, I've been smoking, I don't smoke anymore. All right, that's cool. Yeah, sure, no problem. There you go. And you move on. And the same is here. You should move on. You shouldn't dig in the past. Okay? I don't think that that kind of a label will be creating a situation that will be helping you. Because every time when you're going to be calling yourself that way, you're going to be going back to what you've been doing at the time when you've been doing drinking. I'm sorry. It's time to let it go. Just let it go. And it's nothing wrong with this. The sobriety and being sober is using everything which you can in terms of keeping yourself away from the alcohol. And that's one of the ways how you treat yourself, how you speak to yourself is very important as well. Of course, the people which they never had a problem with alcohol, they will never understand you. They're always gonna be kind of a looking, um, in a different dimension on you. But you should know what is your self-worth, and that's what is most important part, because at the end of the day, this is you against you. Well, it doesn't have to be you against you. It could be just you being sober, and that's what you want. You should feel proud that you're doing this rather than walking all the time guilt because you did something in the past and now you're supposed to carry that ball with that chain, like them inmates, so you're not gonna escape from that alcohol, and whatever you do you never escape from it. That's not true. You already escaped it in your head when that moment when you decided that you don't want to do it anymore. This is the first escape. You did it, the major one, the one which creates you right now being sober and thinking, not in a way, not being positive about yourself. It's gonna be keep dragging you down there because you all your life you'll be thinking that you don't deserve it. You do deserve it. You stepped, you crossed the line. You wanna be on the sober side. It's not easy. Of course, it's not easy because that requires some kind of a working on you. But that doesn't mean that you're some kind of a bad, model or the bad batch just because you had a history of something, which is okay. Getting back to that history, that's supposed to show you what not to do because you might become in a place where you've been before. Okay? But that's our human nature. That's who we are. That's how we act. That's how we think. But we can always counter think. We can always counter something. And that's another ability and one of our favorite things which we can use as a strong weapon against anything which we don't want to happen. Because you recognize it, you get stronger, you have more understanding things, you more understand yourself, which is more important because you know how you're gonna react to something. So then you're gonna react the right way, so you're not gonna end up the bad way. That's how simple that is. Well, simple, not simple, but still, maybe that's one of the things you didn't look on and might be the game changer because you never know. Number 4 is unknown land. Now, this is the one I really like it. Because you see, when you spend so many years of drinking, you don't actually know what not drinking means. Okay? So this is like scary territory because you've never been there. Now imagine anything you do the first time in your life, whatever that is. You have doubts. It's obvious. It's okay. That's natural state. So we're going back to them expectations on that unknown land. If anything goes not how you, because everyone imagine somehow how the things will look like, or a little bit of curiosity, There is some kind of a scarcity in it as well, because there's something new, and that's a natural thinking. But then, if I never been somewhere, so that means I need to spend some time on that, level of learning, getting to know to something. First time you're going to work, new place, you don't know nobody. Let's say you don't know any mates, any friends. You've got nobody. All the strange people. Tasks you're supposed to do. Maybe there's something like completely new that you never done it. In your career. The same as here. It's pretty much the same principle. When you know only drinking, and now you don't drink, so that not drinking, it will be totally new stuff, and of course, it's going to be difficult for you. That's why everything looks like that. It's going to be difficult. Some things you will do a bit longer just to master them better, to be very efficient at it. And some stuff you'll be failing, but then the whole idea is not to give up. I'm failing on something, I'm repeating again and coming up. So let's say you come into work on the first day, there's something you're not good at, maybe you don't have some skills, whatever, manual, whatever it's going to be. So you did not give up the job on the first day if it didn't go well. You came back on the next day and you've been trying to do it better, right? And then on the third day, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 10th, fortnight, 2 weeks, whatever month, after 6 months, you've been nailing this. The same as here. Absolutely the same principle. New territory, new land. You need to discover, rediscover, maybe maybe there is some new stuff. You never touched it. The same is here. Unknown land takes time, When you go somewhere first time, right? Then you're being extremely cautious, and you're slowing down. You try to make sure that you're not gonna be, in a bad position. That's something, whatever you're doing it. When you're doing that stuff on the next day, you go in towards very quickly because you know already where to go, what to do. So all these basics are giving you confidence, and that confidence is being used later. So you're being more efficient. Things are being done faster. The same as here. You're doing something, you recognize it, you know what to do, you know where it will lead you to, and so on and so on. That's why that understanding of that unknown land will take you some time to get it right, to be in a right spot, to be more confident, and to be more, happy about what you're doing, because many things you do might work, some stuff might not work, so you keep changing things. That's another thing. That is a frustration as well. Because so far, if you look in the past, you've been just drinking. That's all you know. You know some parties, you know how to involve the alcohol in your life, how alcohol was involved in your life, how you've been cherishing everything with it, probably all the happiness, all the sad times you've been dealing with alcohol. Now you're gonna be dealing without this. So that's a learning curve. I'm sorry, this is the only way, but that's the case when many people don't take that in perspective. So they kind of are failing later because they given up, because they thinking it's not giving me what I was expecting. Again, going back to expectations, but it's a new way. You're doing something. Give it time, right? At least as well that others been there. They've been doing it, and might or definitely lead them somewhere in that sobriety. So everyone has to go through it. That's what it is. It gets frustrated from time to time, especially on the beginning. But then hey, everyone went through it. So that's your unknown land. So if you spend, let's say, 20 years drinking, but now you're 6 months, on a sobriety, of course that 20 years of drinking will be kind of a, winning on the side of that scale, because that experience is bigger than the other experience on the other side. But remember that more you stick into that sobriety, you build more experience. And that unknown land becomes very known land. So that's one of the things we don't take in considerations as well. Number 5 is the reason why you stop drinking. And that's the huge one. Well, most successful rate for the people which they stop drinking alcohol is the ones which they wanted to stop themselves. And we have as well people which they stopped because that was like outside, force pushing them towards it. So let's say you did wanted to stop drinking, and that's what you want to do it. This is your decision. You got enough. Of course, there will be struggles as everywhere, because the difference between the people they want to stop drinking and the people they've been forced to stop drinking on the beginning is the same. You have struggles because of, let's say, of that unknown land, right, and any other things which they are pretty much participating in that sobriety as well, especially on the beginning. So all that physical attachment to the alcohol, all these triggers, all these cravings, and all the stuff which will be for everybody. But the person who wants to stop, because that was the choice, that person choice, has a much more bigger chances, because the other side is stopping something because it was forced to do it. So that means inside you still would like to continue. You still will try to negotiate how I also, maybe I can still drink, but let's say my marriage will be a bit better. So I will try to work through that first. Yeah. So let's say that I will have both things. So I can have the good marriage, but I can still drink it, right? Or let's say you have some medical condition, because the use of alcohol now, that gets my health, crap way down. I feel worse and worse, but you still will be so okay. So if I've been drinking a lot, so maybe now, if I'm gonna start drinking less, maybe I'm not gonna have that bad effect on my body because I'm drinking less. Come on, I'm drinking half of it, or maybe quarter of that what I was drinking. So you see, these these things are very important, because if you're being forced to it, so that means it's against you. Now let me put it this way: if anyone will introduce you to something and will tell you, would you like to sit there please and wait, or something, then you're okay with that, right? Because it was nice, and a nice manner told you. So someone told you in a nice manner, you know manners first. Great, no problem, use the option. Okay, good seat, nice and soft, no problem, I will do it. But when someone comes up to you and tell you, "Boy, I need you to sit down there," it's like, hold on a sec. What do you mean? You ain't gonna talk to me with this tone. I mean, if you ask, I might consider. You see, so that's the thing. It's a difference when you wanted to do something, and it's a difference when something is pushing you towards it. So that might be the reason as well why your sobriety is failing, because you not want it yourself. So ratio and the chances of your sobriety is way, way less when you're being forced by something from outside, okay, rather than that you want it yourself. Of course, it might be a situation that you're gonna be forced. Suddenly you will get the information that your wife is telling you, or your husband, "I'm gonna leave you because you're drinking. I don't want to, live like this," and then you decide that okay, this is damaging me, and so that comes internal. Yeah, of course, that third option, absolutely, absolutely exists. But then again, that must be your decision. Your truly decision within yourself, that you're saying, okay, fair enough, I don't want to drink anymore. It doesn't serve me. It keeps doing crap to my life, against the one when, because you feel like someone is attacking you. People attacking you, pushing you that you're supposed to do something you don't want to do it. Okay. So let's say you're doing therapy, or, in a rehab or whatever, because they force you to it. And maybe on the beginning you try to convince yourself, you're like, "Oh, okay, maybe they have, maybe they right, or whatever." But that's still, if it's against you and you don't want to do it, you're gonna fail. It's a huge chance that you're gonna fail. Or it might be the case that you're gonna be, doing like 6 months, a year, 2 months, a distance without alcohol, but it's not gonna be the sobriety, because that's gonna be more like being dry. You stopped because something stopped you, rather than you decided that you don't want to do it, if that makes sense. So that's one of the another ones which they might push you to keep getting to the position that you're failing, because there are many people actually confusing sobriety with dryness. When you're dry, you actually stop drinking. Okay, stop drinking in perspective that you're not touching alcohol, but you did not consider that you don't want to do it anymore, and you're not working on yourself to see how you can keep yourself away from it. And initially, that's your decision that you don't want to drink anymore. Where sobriety, it's like deciding to, continue living without drinking and understanding what's happened with you and how you can avoid any other things going back to drinking. But if you don't want to drink and you're doing anything you can possibly to understand why you've been drinking, then there you go. And in many cases, drinking itself, it becomes just only a kind of a loud noise for other problems. Okay, because the drinking is supposed to be the cover for something else, which is actually eating you probably from inside. Okay, it could be many things. Like if it's something, with your background when you're coming from, or maybe the way how you're thinking, or maybe you've been, joining others with drinking because you wanted to be around the people. Because when you've been, let's say, younger, people did not much been interacting with you, so it'd be a little bit like that kind of outsider. But now you've noticed that if you falling with drinking, then from the social part of you being, dragged into the group of the people, they kind of like you, and you're spending some time with them, and you're feeling nice. So every time when you're thinking about going out, you're so excited because you're waiting for something and you're feeling like you belong. And so there's many things into it. But as I'm saying, there will be the difference between you and being pushed by others to do that, so-called sobriety, which is kind of a more like dryness because you don't want to get sober anyway. So you're gonna be looking for any chances to drink alcohol or hide alcohol, so nobody sees that you're drinking. Many people do that. Wife or husband nagging about, you're drinking, so you try to drink in secret so they don't see it. So at least they're not attacking you. Okay? Many things could happen like this. Many things goes wrong, but that could be one of the another problems why you keep failing on your sobriety. Number 6 will be setting up with a wrong crew, with the people which they have in a kind of a wrong, vibrations around you. So that will be a little bit coming back to the previous point, when you have someone who wants to and someone who's been pushed to. When you being in some therapies, rehabs, or whatever places like that, you will be interactive with others. So let's say you have a high hopes for getting sober, but then you have a people around you which they actually literally you can see that they're in pain. They're in pain in that. They even if okay, they decided in perspective that it's time to do something with it, but still they did not let it go. They just not let it go, and they had the alcohol 100%. Okay, that's the vital key. You haven't let it go, and it's not even about deciding or not deciding in this case. It will be something like many people start doing AAs, places like that. So they got tools, they meeting with people, they are, let's say later even having the sponsors or someone who's having your back and stuff. But the trouble is, you actually don't want to take responsibility for yourself. So you're shifting responsibility on others. So you're thinking that sponsors supposed to help you, and every time when you have a problem, you'll be contacted with your sponsor. But that person is more like just to be for you as a backup in perspective, so you will still understand that you're not by yourself with this. But if you are moving responsibilities more towards your sponsor or that person who's supposed to help you, they help is more like being for you when you need them, but they're not gonna be sorting things for you, if that makes sense. Because there is a lot of stuff you have to process yourself. You gotta look into yourself. You gotta dig in the past. You gotta understanding. You gotta have understanding of yourself. Okay? Because I'll tell you this: If you have all your friends, all your mates, everyone who does your backups and things like that, you still will have moments when you're by yourself, when it's gonna be no one around you to rescue, and you're gonna start panicking because if there is no that if there's that person is not around me, or the tool or whatever it's supposed to take the ease when I feel in a moment that I will, let's say, go wrong way, then it's gonna be the panic. It's gonna be the panic, and that panic creates more anxiety, and that actually later will be like, well, I start drinking again because she did not help me, he did not help me, I called him, he didn't answer my phone, I just needed him very much, and this and that. This is pretty much shifting responsibility. You are the person who wants to stop drinking, so all that stuff is on you. Okay, all these life-saving tools you've been given, all these understandings, subject things, whatever you're looking at, it's all you, because your sobriety is your responsibility, not others. You can't just blame others for your failures. And until you're not going to understand this, you're never going to get peace on that one, because there's going to be always something. So we like to do that because you are, let's say, drinking. So that drinking is easing your pain because of some problems, right? Let's put it that way. So when you stop drinking, now you don't have that tool. So you're looking a substitute, and that substitute will be, let's say, your sponsor or some friend or whoever later on. So now you shift from alcohol to that person. I like that statement that we like junkies. Okay, we can very very easy shift to something else. So anything which is supposed to give you that peace, you don't have it. You try to find looking for replacement. Okay, and if it's not this thing, that's going to be the other thing. So a kind of a addiction personality will push you to be addicted to something else. All right, I know it's a difficult one to digest, but you might be looking from that perspective as well. And then later you have a relapse. You had a relapse, you're going back to drinking, or your sobriety is failing because I didn't have this or I did not have that. But pretty much on the end, you will understand everything's on you, because to be fair, this is your decision. It's 50-50. You go to the left or you go to the right. And that's why you get all these information so you can use for yourself to keep you just on one of the sides, which will be the sobriety, because initially this is where you would like to be. So this is like, I like that comparison when you have two wolves within you. There's a bad one, there is a good one. The bad one is the one which drinks. The good one is the one which is sober. Now, the only way for that good one to win is to feed him more, because so far you've been feeding the bad one, so the drinking was taken over of your life. When you decide to feed the good one, then the sobriety will be winning on the side of your life. And it's okay. It's possible to go like that to the rest of your life without drinking. It's possible because many people did it. All you have to do is just concentrate to feed that good wolf. Number 7 is reality of your life. Because so far alcohol was used to escape, to numb the pain, to do this, to do that. Maybe you didn't even realize that was the case. But when you take away the alcohol, the problems are still there, because the problems in our lives are feature. Okay, they're always there. They just require some attention. So if you've been putting everything like in that little tray when it has sign on it pending, so I will take care of that later. So you pick alcohol to escape away from your problems, but your problems been piling up on that pending tray. Now when you don't have the alcohol, which technically, maybe speaking, was down there to help you forget about them problems, which they've been meeting you on the next day anyway, because if you're drinking, you don't take care of them problems, and there's more and more and more. And when you got in, sober off a little bit, and you see in that trays keep piling, that create more anxiety. So you're actually going back to drinking again because there's so many right now that I don't want to even, listen about this. I don't want to see it. So you kind of escaping to the different realm, to the different reality. Now, when you stop drinking, all these problems, you'll have to face it. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. And that's how we later kind of relapsing on the things, because suddenly you've been taking away the tool which is supposed to be helping you, but well, unfortunately it doesn't. But the thing is, you've got these problems. You've got these problems where you have to give them attention. Now, because they've been piling up and there's more and more and more, the only way to do that right is just do them bit after bit. Just start attacking them exactly how you've been actually collecting them. You've been collecting problem after problem. Yeah. So you've been drinking, so the more will be piling up. So exactly the same way, you will have to unfortunately attack them problems, so your reality looks better. Then you become more confident as well. You see that there's two ways of doing things: escape from the problems or try to face them. Try to face them, but you need to understand as well, any problems you have, you can always ask for help. There's many people, they've been in that place before as you are with your problems, and if you give it a hard look and search, you'll find it. So then you will understand that your life is more bearable. Okay? Any problems you have, there's always some kind of a way. Maybe it's not going to be the way how you would like to. I mean, of course, if you got plenty of money somewhere on a pallet behind you, so you can always throw some money and solve your problems, but it's not always everybody's case. Okay? But you can always try something and do something with it. Dealing with any problem, at least with something minimum of effort, is better than just living on side and going away and running away to your drinking routine. But that's what it is. We start drinking, we have them problems, then there's more problems, you start getting sober. Now suddenly the trouble is, all these problems which you've been stashing on side, they now meeting you, unfortunately, because you can see them, and it's like they need to be sorted, they need to be taken care of somehow. And anything is like that. If it's your family, if it's your kids, if it's your job, you know everything can be fixed. That's one of the things. It will take time, but it can be fixed. Family, they will forgive you at some point. They might not trust you much, but they will forgive you. The job, well, if you lost the job, you can always get a new one, right? So there's always some kind of a revolution. There's some kind of a circle that you can close things down, open things up. But that's what it is. The reality of this. The reality. If you have anxieties, for instance, well, I'm sure around the world they already found some things which we can deal with that as well. Because the alcohol, unfortunately, will be increasing your anxiety anyway. So you're gonna be using alcohol to keep your anxiety down. All these problems which they're gonna be piling up, they're gonna be creating more anxiety. So you're gonna be drinking more, and this is like a vicious circle, never finishes, unfortunately. And at some point, it might be the case that life it goes very crazy when later your wife will decide she wants to leave you, or husband doesn't want to be with you, your kids don't want to talk to you, they don't want to have nothing to do with you. All that stuff was unfortunately accumulated somewhere, or the family doesn't want to speak to you. You've been doing some stuff when you've been drunk as well, so there's more things. It doesn't matter. Reality of the situation will hit you anyway, and then when you stop drinking, you kind of are facing that reality and you're learning. That's another thing of the sobriety. When alcohol addiction is escaping, then sobriety is nothing else but facing things. And then later, when you start dealing with them, you understand one common good thing: it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. These are 7 things I laid out for you, which might be having an effect on your failing sobriety when you start doing it sober, and then you collapsing, and then again you trying it, and again you trying it. I'm not saying everything will be relevant to everybody, but maybe you will find something which you can use. I always been saying, and I will be always saying, that within the sobriety, there is no such thing like one certain path for everybody, because, I'm different, you different, something will be relevant to me or not. You can always borrow something, use it. If you think that this bit doesn't work but that bit works, use it. It's fine. Try it. That's what all the sobriety is about. Trying things and seeing if it works for you. If you don't, it's fine. Skip it. Forget about it, and concentrate on anything which works. And how would I know that anything works for me? Because if I'm being kept away from alcohol, and that gives me that kind of a peace of mind, this is actually the best way to go through. Everything will be through how you feel. If you feel it's okay, do it. If you feel it's a bit odd, just like not feeling well or not feeling all right, don't do it. Don't do it. Or evidently, that's not gonna be your path. All I want to say, I wish you sober evening, sober week, sober month, hopefully sober life. If you're interested with more, you know what to do. I shall see you next one. Take care of yourself.